Live stream. It is, I almost said podcast. It is Tuesday, March 16th. March 16th, 2021. 2021. Man, wild to think we got through 2020. We're a quarter of the way through 2021. We're about to go live on Facebook. Boom. There we go. Guys, if you're new to the stream, if you're new to the stream, that's the right thing. My name is Jim Cipollini. I'm a mental health coach here at Inner Solutions, specializing in panic attacks, anxiety, and depression treatment. I am somebody who struggled for years with panic attacks, anxiety, depression, and was able to work through it. And now I teach what I had to teach myself to those who are struggling. And so if you're here right now, I'm hoping that you are going to gain some value from this live stream. And let's just get set up on Facebook here. So what you can do is post your questions in the chat, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, and we will get to every question. We want to hear your questions for what you're struggling with and what you need some insight about. Want to hear your stories, want to hear your successes, just an open space to share, support, and destigmatize people struggling with panic attacks and high anxiety. Here at Inner Solutions, we have some resources available to you. If you're on the Facebook, go and check out our YouTube page, which has, I think there's something like 100 videos about all different things related to anxiety. Just recently, the last video we posted is one that I'm extremely excited about. It's the video to share with the people around you who are struggling with your struggle. And it is called How to Deal with Somebody with Anxiety. All the time I hear husbands, fathers, wives, children, family members, coworkers that feel frustrated or stuck in not knowing how to help those of us who are struggling with anxiety. And there's really a few key elements that you can find in that video. And just to kind of summarize, number one is it's definitely not their fault. And we know that we know this. It's not your husband's fault. It's not anybody's fault. And it's not the person struggling's fault. Really what we're looking for there is there's not a lot a partner can do, and it needs to be treated in the same way that you would treat somebody with a different illness, with something like cancer, with something like a broken ankle. Anxiety, especially if you're struggling with panic attacks and you've either never been through this before or you've had a long period off, or if you've been struggling for years, it's most useful to think about it as though your system in some ways is temporarily compromised, meaning you can't have the same expectations of yourself that you had before you were really struggling with this. And it needs to be accepted and it needs to be dealt with. So check out that video on YouTube, Anxiety and Mental Health Q&A, and post those questions in the chat, guys. We do this chat to give you insight, to give you support, to help you feel less stuck, and really to give you the concrete things that you can immediately start doing, or the direction you need to start moving in to really and sustainably get and feel better. Today's date, Live and Mental Health Q&A. 3-6. I can't believe it's the 16th already, guys. Spring has sort of sprung. Down here in Tennessee, it's absolutely gorgeous and wonderful. And today was like the first day of spring. And I don't know, it was cool. It was really beautiful, spiritual, and it was really special. Yeah. And we know that those of you that are struggling with the seasonal affect disorder, the sun's starting to come out. Yeah, the seasons are starting to change depending on where you are. I'm a little more in the south, but as the next 4 or 5 weeks go by, you'll start to see the significant change in the atmosphere and the environment, and hopefully that translates into the significant change into your internal environment. Those of us who are struggle with anxiety typically can be very, very sensitive to our environments. Yeah. So if you're on YouTube, I'm actually going to post Let me post the link to our YouTube page in the Facebook. It's confusing. Let me post the YouTube page in the Facebook. Let me post the Facebook in the YouTube. So here is the link in Facebook to our YouTube page. Hit enter there. All right, beautiful. So yeah, go give that page a subscription. We're constantly putting out content, and if there's something in particular, we actually use this live stream as a lot of a source for the questions that you guys want to know. So yeah, absolutely put out your questions, and don't be shy. Also, guys, if you want to support the company and the channel, there's lots of ways that you can do it. Did you say you can't hear me? Latonya, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Do you hear my voice? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Should be working. Should be working just fine. Latonya, check that the YouTube, that little speaker, that little like megaphone icon is not, don't be shy. Yeah, the sound's definitely coming through. Make sure that little megaphone icon is not frozen. What's up, Lisa? Latonya, how are you? Latonya, click. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like mime what's going on. So if you guys, we want to hear lots of, you guys have questions, you have check-ins, let's get it going. Let's get into some content. Let's get some useful information shared here. Travis says, hey Jim, love watching your videos. So happy you're putting all this out there to help others. Traffic. Huh. Travis, thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming by. It's good to see you. What's going on with you, man? How's the mental health? How you feeling? I mean, we started this company because we struggled for so long. I did, 4 or 5 different medications with different dosages. I went through an absolute emotional and mental roller coaster, just with these little dosage changes and just with these this seemingly inexact science of what my psychiatrist was doing as far as prescribing medication. Everything from, when I was a teenager, ADD, to as an adult trying, sertraline, Seroquel, Zoloft. I think sertraline is the generic Zoloft. I don't. Yeah, fast acting, long lasting, this, that, the other thing. And it just didn't work. It felt like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. It really did. And most of the research shows that medication's just not meant for long-term use. It is useful in the short term. And we talk about this all the time. We don't have a judgment against medication. It's more that, if there's something wrong with your heart and, you deal with the symptoms, you deal with the shortness of breath, or you deal with the blood pressure, and you don't fix the heart at the source, it tends to be that the problem becomes chronic and actually can get worse. So it's really important to dive into, deal with the panic attacks or deal with the anxiety, but then look at what is fueling the fire. What are the beliefs I have that I'm living by? In what ways do I feel internal conflicts? Or what ways do I feel like I'm suppressing emotion? What ways do I not feel free? For me, I don't feel free in that I can't talk because I keep saying wheels instead of feels and things like that. No, just kidding. But yeah, Travis, I'm really glad you're getting some value out of the channel. Good, Latonya. I'm glad you fixed it. Lisa, Latonya, please check in. How's your heart today? How are you guys feeling? Is there something you're focused on? What are you struggling with, or what are you doing really well with? Let us know. Dawn says, "Hey, Jim." Hey, Dawn. Tara says, "Hello. You both amazing. You amazing, Tara. You amazing." But thank you so much. Yeah, Ennis was actually just calling me. He's been getting some performance anxiety lately. That's why he hasn't been showing up. So guys, if you talk to Ennis, just give him a tease, please. Annoy him, send him a message, something like that. Don says, freezing in Weymouth like winter. Sorry, Don. We'll send you some spring up there. Sophia says, good evening. Good evening, Sophia. How are you? Christian, happy to see another live stream. Keep up the good work. Good. Guys, share some stuff. Let us know what's going on. Nick says, I hear you. Good. Glad. Holly, thumbs up. Thumbs up to you too, Holly. Good to see you. Brother, what's up, Nick? How are you, man? Tara says, tips for agoraphobic that is going to try to drive a mile up the road tomorrow to work a few hours. Yeah. So first of all, I would ask you, Tara, give me some more information. How long has the agoraphobia been kicking in? And what is it that you feel? When you're in the environment, is it bad, or is it more the anticipation and the anxiety of going to the moment? Right. So just some key tips with agoraphobia, because and actually in our class that we do every week, which guys, if you're interested in that, shoot me a message on Facebook Messenger. In our class, we talked about intrusive and obsessive thoughts, and we talked about when the thoughts, first of all, an intrusive thought is a thought that kind of just, it could be an image, it could be a sound, it could be a vision, it could be a thought, an auditory thought. It's something that cuts through, that's kind of unwanted or unwelcome, right? So when we have obsessive intrusive thoughts, that's when that keeps recurring over and over again. So if it's kind of a double-edged sword, it's thoughts that are breaking through, that are kind of out of your control, but that repeat over and over and over again. And when those thoughts begin to be tethered to certain compulsions, things like avoiding situations, washing your hands, that's when they become the obsessive thoughts are already heavy enough. That's when it becomes a really, really intrusive experience, just something that invades your day-to-day life. So as far as the agoraphobia, what I would do, Tara, is I would do some cognitive behavioral therapy. I would write down the 5-6 thoughts that keep recurring in you. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. Just write down the really significant ones and write them down. Go to this list of cognitive distortions, which I will post in the chat right now. Cognitive distortions, Burns list. So this is a checklist of cognitive distortions. These are ways to identify that what you're thinking isn't true. These are the 10 most common reasons of how we can't trust our thoughts. Right? We are not our thoughts. We are not to identify with our mind. Our mind is something that you can prime, something that you can set up you can feed it certain things. You can feed it certain content. You can do things like meditation or relaxation techniques, or exercising will affect your mind. But to identify as your mind is something you need to pull away from, because there you're going to be just thinking, I'm crazy, or I'm having these thoughts, or whatever. Thoughts just happen. And these agoraphobic thoughts are something that happen because they're tethered to anxiety. So what's really happening is you're getting caught in a feedback loop. You think of the situation, you have a thought, something like, oh my God, if I'm in public, it's going to be scary. You have a sensation, fear, emotion. It triggers another thought like, oh, I can't do this. I'm never going to, and then it may trigger another thought like, hey, am I ever going to be able to be in public again? Triggers more fear, turns into depression, and it builds on this feedback loop. It builds on itself really, really intensely. And so then as it builds and it's tethered more and more with the anxiety, it tends to feed on itself, keep your nervous system very stimulated. And what we want to do is stop that feedback loop. And one of the best ways is cognitive behavioral therapy. So we look at this list of cognitive distortions. So let's say one of your thoughts is, if I am in public, and let me share this link in the chat right now while I'm squawking here. If I'm in public, I will have a panic attack. Or if I have a panic attack in public, I'll be embarrassed, or I won't be able to ask for help, or it's going to be overwhelming, whatever the thought is. You can look at this list and find out why it's distorted. So that's jumping to conclusions. That is future predicting. That's magnification. It's emotional reasoning. Because you feel anxious, you feel like you'll feel anxious. And yeah, there's quite a few there. So what we would do is replace the thought like, hey, and it would sound something like this, but you have to come up with it because you have to believe it. While typically I'm uncomfortable in public situations, even if I had a panic attack, there would be so many people around that they could call for help. And also I know that panic attacks are not dangerous. They aren't going to kill me. They aren't going to make me go crazy, and they're not going to make me lose control. And therefore, even though it's uncomfortable for me right now to be in public, it's safe for me to be in public. And you would just have to really place in that replacement thought. And so you do this with each of the thoughts that you have that you're worried about panic attacks. Yeah. So Tara, really, really great. If you need some more assistance with that, There's a ton of resources on cognitive behavioral therapy. If you want a really thorough book, you can check out this one, Feeling Great by Dr. David Burns. Feeling Great by Dr. David Burns. Goes very, very, I mean, this book's like 400 or 500 pages. Goes very far in depth about cognitive behavioral therapy. And then also, Tara, if you really want to get into a place, you can read this book on exposure therapy for anxiety. Exposure therapy is exactly what it sounds. It's exposing yourself to these situations. And there's lots of theory and strategies. You really want to do it with the help of a professional to help you design the exposure experiment, we call them, because there is a risk of intensifying and exacerbating your system during that. So gathering more information is the best thing. But I think, Tara, the bigger thing is like, you're not in danger. Even if your thoughts are telling you that, you don't have to believe your thoughts. Even if they're going, and suppressing them or trying to shove them out doesn't work. So let them flow, welcome them in, and just stay grounded in the fact that, okay, like I'm going to have these thoughts. I don't have to believe them. And the more I go and do it, the better I'll feel while being in that grounded state. Good luck, Tara. We're all rooting for you. Can we get some love in the chat for Tara, please? A little support. Katie Raider. Cool name. Is it Raider? Katie Raider? That's the hippest, most downtown name I've heard in a long time. Opinions on L-theanine or L-tyrosine. Not super familiar with either of them, Katie. We don't study a lot of herbal supplements or anything. I think as far as soothing your nervous system with supplements or substances, it's really, really case sensitive per person. Not everybody's the same. And so do your research, find your trusted sources, and do your experiment with them. Yeah, it's really case sensitive. I know my system is extremely sensitive to different herbs, to things like caffeine, to things like herbal teas and stuff. But it's really, really case sensitive. But I think that my understanding of theanine is it's pretty natural. I don't even want to speak on it because honestly, I've done no research. I've tried things like HTTP. I've tried things like, just general, like these calm herbal supplemental combinations that you can buy in like Whole Foods and stuff. Never really noticed a hell of a lot of change for me, because really what the change was just internal, the mental reframing, the ability to understand my emotional system, and the ability to work with it. What I really noticed change was like meditation and exercise and diet changes. And for me, the diet changes was actually less about kind of the better foods I was putting into my body, and more about not putting in things like sugar and like simple carbs. That's where I noticed, but that's just me. I think people react differently. Katie Raider, what an awesome name. Michelle, what's up, Michelle? Were you unable to drive or work or go out when you suffered from anxiety and panic attacks? Was I unable to drive or work or go out? It's tricky because when I was at the height of struggling, one of my major coping mechanisms was to be out. I think I definitely would drive slow. I had to be driving. I felt uncomfortable as a passenger. For me, it was just more about controlling the environment I was in. So it was hard to fly. It was hard to be in a passenger. It was hard to be at somebody's house without having to escape there, kind of feeling trapped. So for me, it was I felt confident in the certainty of myself, but I didn't feel so confident in other people. And I talk about this all the time, but it's really important a lot of times the anxious parts of us are looking for certainty of safety, and that just doesn't exist. And so it's not that it's not that the world gets less dangerous, it's that you develop the skills to cope and deal with the danger. And also that anxious parts tend to catastrophize and magnify the negatives that are really unlikely. So a plane crash is, scientifically impossible to be in. Knock on wood, because I'm flying on Sunday, but see, that's my anxious part right there. Knocking on wood. But scientifically, it's impossible. But the amount of attention that this anxious part of you gives it is almost like it's a certainty, right? If I get on this plane, it's going to, no, it's not. Look at the statistics. So that's why we have to use something like CBT and something like internal family systems to ground us in the reality, because our thoughts are not grounded in objective reality. So it's important to know, number one, just identify, hey, I don't have to believe these thoughts. In fact, I shouldn't believe these thoughts. They're very distorted. And then with the IFS, understanding the part of you that's pumping them out, because it's a real scared part of you that's been system shocked. Was I unable to work? I think for me, I was doing the bare minimum because my anxiety about going broke outweighed any other anxiety I had at the time, my anxiety of like being homeless. So it's not that I couldn't work, it's that I could not, like I've been independently employed for a while. It's that I did the bare minimum. I barely had energy to really like get by, and it was bad. And like the quality of my work went way down. I really did the bare minimum. I wasn't thriving at all. It was bad. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then panic attacks afterwards. Let me think. As far as panic attacks, it's hard to say. I don't even, the difference between then and now is that a panic attack would last way longer. Now it's like I don't even have any of the feedback loops start. Typically a sensation that I might feel now, like if I'm running and my heart is palpitating or it skips a beat or something, which is normal. Everybody's heart does that. I don't have the thought, oh my God, I'm having a panic attack. I might have a little bit of like, whoa, if I get short of breath or if something weird happens. But no, before I was waking up out of sleep and thinking I had a panic attack, or it's very, very different now. They just lasted longer. The driving was affected. I did avoid the highway for a while. But now it's, with the skills that we teach, now it's much more none of that. None of it at all. I don't love flying, but that's also because I'm 6'2" and 200 pounds, and being in a little coach seat is tricky. It's just uncomfortable. It's like I just don't like sitting in a chair in general for too long. Tara says, always had anxiety, got worse after adopted kids, and was working in diagnosis with thyroid disorder, trying to get my life back. Let's go, Tara. Definitely. Let's go. Let's get it. I'm adopting 2 and have thyroid disease. Wow, guys, link up. Definitely. Link up. 3 years, anticipation and being there. Anxiety, 30 years, but functioning. Adopted 2 children, working full-time and diagnosed with thyroid issue. It all came too much and anxiety took over. Yeah, I mean, when you think about, I would look at kind of the overall anxiety. Typically, there's like a front runner reason why you have anxiety. Something like the trauma from the panic attack and the fear of the panic attack may be kind of front and center. But what can happen is like, there is congruent anxiety in life, having 2 kids, working full time, like stretching yourself too thin, feeling pressure. And then again, the suppression and the unprocessed emotion is so key. Things like not sharing, suffering in silence, letting things, quote unquote, slide that you really aren't letting go of, having a resentful relationship, not feeling strong and confident, not being assertive about what you want, not putting your intentions of what you want out there. All these things add to the overall anxiety level. So like, we may have a part of us that's very, very irrational, but then there's other times where there's congruent anxiety. Congruent meaning like it's rational. It makes sense. It's a lot to work full time and have 2 children, especially adopted children. Look, I worked in the DCS system for almost 3 years, and some of the kids that went through the system were a lot, escalated easily, very impulsive, very emotional, very destructive, behavioral needs, things like that. I'm not saying that's what's going on with you, Tara, but it's like for me, sometimes I have trouble with like 2 dogs, getting the dogs out and doing work and seeing clients and doing the stream and balancing my health. And it's like you keep stacking stuff on there and something's got to give. The pressure will build. And what happens to things under pressure is they crack. So be conscious of like, there's some deeper emotional reason, or you're just spreading yourself way too thin. And you think you have totally unrealistic expectations of how much you can manage. We are finite beings. And, sometimes we find with a lot of people that call us, it's like they have trouble asking for help. Well, ask for help. Delegate. Absolutely. Tara says, Michelle, you can do this. Woo! I've had anxiety since college. Hey, we all have anxiety, but it sounds like you had high anxiety. I was doing too much. I'm a very outgoing person. I took on too much all at once. Common story, Tara, and kudos to you for recognizing it. Guys, lighten your load. Take the backpack off. Delegate. Say no to certain things. It's all good. You're going to feel better. Set boundaries. Tell your mother-in-law to get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, well, if you need to. Let me check in on YouTube. Latanya, my heart is good. I'm feeling a little anxious because I'm getting my 2nd dose vaccine tomorrow. Okay. Lisa says, what are your thoughts on how dreams play into anxiety? Your dreams are usually pretty telling about your subconscious. And by telling, I mean, if you do dream interpretations, it's kind of cool. I think it's super, super cool. So there's really cool, I feel like I could talk for like 6 hours about this, and there's like 8,000 things trying to come out at once. Dreams can be really telling of your subconscious. Sometimes it's very, very obvious, and sometimes it's almost like you took some hallucinogenic drugs, and it's this wild combination of the Grateful Dead and LSD and Sgt. Pepper's and hippies and tapestries and stuff. Like it'll manifest in your dreams through strange ways. So looking up dream interpretations can be really useful, and keeping a dream journal can be very, very useful. Because if you find, there are a lot of books about dream interpretations, but obviously you have to take it with a grain of salt. It's not concrete. Sometimes though, you'll find there's recurring themes in things and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't think about this, but the truth is it's in there. And this is what we talk about when we talk about your subconscious. It's under your conscious mind, meaning it's something you maybe have buried or something you maybe have shoved down so deep. I was talking to my therapist today about this relationship cycle that I've been repeating since I was like 17, this role I put myself in and how the relationships play out. And we're digging and we find that there's like this link to me as a 3 and 4 year old child that I don't ever think of. I don't even remember the time. Once we started talking about it, it started coming back. But it's something I haven't thought about in over 30 years. And it's tied to what's happening now. So really honor the process and be open. And that's the key. Be open to the fact that, number one, you don't know everything about your system, but you are this beautiful adventure that you can go on, and an exploration that you need to do. And the more you understand your system and the more deeper and the better support you have to explore you and your emotional system, the more you'll find and the more you'll be able to align everything internally so that your external aligns with how you want to feel internally, because it already does. And if your external is kind of messy or anxious or anything, that's a total reflection of what's going on internally. Not to judge, but use the information. Ann says, hi. Hi, Ann. Dawn says, good luck, Tara. Good luck. Yeah. All right, Dawn. Ann says, hi, Tara. Carmen says, hello. Hey, guys, you guys are good at salutations. Lena, I like your last name, Agbalog. I don't know. I had a baby 1.5 years ago, and I have been dealing with depression and anxiety since. Yeah, Lena. So there could be a lot of things going on. And Lena, I'd love for you to give some more information. So what I'm particularly interested in is was there something that you lost when you had the baby? Was it a giant lifestyle change? The other part of it is then there can be other congruencies. So let me get to that in a second. There can be other congruencies with the depression, things like changes in your body that you're not thrilled about. Changes in your day-to-day that you're not thrilled about. You've had to shift what you were doing before that was lighting you up into taking care of this child, which even though you may love your child, like I bet that goes without saying, there may be some resentment or there may be some resistance because you can't hang out with your friends as much or you can't work. And those maybe were things that helped grounded you and helped light you up and invigorate you and energize you. So those can be congruent issues like that. Maybe there's a difference in your relationship now too. Maybe you guys aren't having sex as much, or you're not as connected because there's this baby that takes up the majority of space. Those are all congruent things that would make sense. Beyond that, Lena, I think something that, and look, I've never had a kid. I don't think a kid's come out of my body yet. But one of the things I think is maybe it's not underappreciated, but I don't hear a lot about it, is that when you're raising and breeding this being in your body, in my mind, it's such a natural cultivation of a connection, of a time in your life. Forget about the kind of, worldly effect it has in your body, but that there's this deep something in your body going on at a cellular level. It's creating, and then it harvests a child. And I think giving birth in a way is physically traumatic, but I think it can be emotionally traumatic as well for the child as well. This separation of these two entities that were more like one before. I think it has a more profound effect on us psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, physically than we may give credit. I mean, when I think about it, having a child, it just is what it is. It's like, well, no, I think it's probably more heavy than that. And so that's kind of a slew of different things that could really be congruently going on, Lena. But I'd love to know more information. What do you think it is? What have you noticed the changes, Lena? Please share a little more. And thanks for sharing that. Stephanie says, wow, I have a thyroid disorder too. Lots of thyroid issues here today. Yeah, the question is, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So we were also talking about somatic symptoms. Somatic symptoms meaning your anxiety can manifest as the physical symptoms of what you're anxious about having to a certain extent. Pretty wild. Let's check YouTube real quick. Catherine Mendez. Hey, Jim. Hey, Catherine. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Guys, the link to the YouTube page is in the chat on Facebook. If you scroll up, it's there somewhere, or do a search on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Please share with anybody who you think would get value from this. Really appreciate it. Anne says, did you or does anticipate the worst of certain situations like doctor's appointments, vaccines? Did you or do I anticipate the worst of certain situations like doctor's appointments and vaccines? And that's a symptom of anxiety, is the catastrophization, the irrational catastrophization. That's important to distinguish, because if you're a soldier in a war zone and you're talking about the worst case scenario, you're preparing for the worst case scenario. And often, the catastrophizing part of you is preparing for an unnecessary worst case scenario. Now, preparing for scenarios is useful. When the thoughts become obsessive and intrusive, that is when they become a problem, because then, again, the ratio of relevance of how likely is this to happen versus how much of my headspace is this taking up, it doesn't line up, and it starts to really impact your life. So it's normal for anxiety, but you don't have to believe those thoughts. And I would recommend you do some CBT, like we talked about in the class, to really, really do the exercises. You have to do them. You really have to get a pen and a paper and write them out. These thoughts are not magically going to go away, but the more you practice not even just not believing them, but replacing them from a different place, a different part of you, a more grounded part of you. The more repetitious you are with that, the sooner you'll see the result, that the thoughts will start to calm down. And when you tell yourself a very true thought, which is so necessary, such as, hey, this vaccination is proven to be extraordinarily safe. There's millions of people getting it, and there's nothing to worry about, which is more grounded in reality than the catastrophizing part of you is. It'll resonate with that deeper core self, and that kind of emotion will tend to subside. The anxiety and the stress emotions will subside. Good to see you, Anne. I love your last name, by the way. Vecchio. It's so fun. It's just like, it kind of looks like Vecchio, you know, from little Italian boy, Jim Cipollini. And guys, if you haven't scheduled a free call, check in the description below. There is a link to schedule that free call. Shantae says, hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. One hope everyone's night is going well. What's up, Shantae? Stephanie says, do you find that when you feel like you're coping on a great level that you have doubts it will last? Like I'm waiting for it to come back. Totally. I think everybody who struggled for a while with anything is worried about that. And that's a protective part of you, that monitoring system. When is it going to come back? What is that sensation? When's it going to come back? Is it that? Yeah, I mean, it's that's typically a reaction to feeling good and then it coming back. That's been a little bit of a large or small trauma there. Does that make sense? It's like there was a time you felt better and then you felt like crap again and it hurt. And this happens all the time on the trajectory towards feeling better, is people will feel crappy. Once they get a little bit of momentum feeling better and then they have a regression, it hurts almost even more because it's like, oh, I could see the tunnel at the end of the light and it was taken away. It's like that famous quote in Godfather. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. You know what I mean? So it almost feels like it hurts even more that when you're feeling good and then something bad happens, it's almost like a double-edged sword, even though on the overall trajectory, you're actually doing much better than you were before. So that is very common. And I would just, for me, the coaching with that, the internal dialogue is something like, look, it is natural that we're going to regress. It's not going to be a perfect trip. Let's just enjoy the time we have here. And I say let's on purpose when I'm talking to myself, because I am talking to my parts. It's like, hey, let's just enjoy what we're going to do. Hey, you know what I mean? And I get real Italian because I like The Godfather. And me and Ann Vecchio, we hang out, you know? And it's like, hey, we'll be okay. Whatever happens is going to happen. But yeah, I get it. That is normal. Shantae says, so do I have to get surgery to get my left thyroid taken out? Oh, so do I. I have to get surgery. I don't know if that's a question or you're saying you have to get it out. Everybody, we got a lot of thyroid issues here. I don't know. Again, guys, it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I need to look more in depth about thyroid and anxiety. I feel like that's going to be a good video, is to really get in depth about the research on the relation between thyroid disorders, stress and anxiety. I'm sure they feed off of each other. Things like autoimmune, thyroid disorders, thyroid disorders, pain, like especially back pain, neck pain, all those things, headaches, migraines tend to be totally correlated with anxiety as far as the implement, like the start of them and also the intensity. Michelle says, I have my left side taken out too. Wendy says, hi, Jim. Wendy! What's up, soul sister? Lena says, yes. Lena says, well, I had been diagnosed with 2 autoimmune disorders 7 years prior as far as the child. So, I mean, that if typically with an autoimmune disorder, you're in some kind of heavy or chronic pain. Yeah. I don't know, Lena, to share some more information. But did you find that you had some congruencies with like changes in your body you weren't so happy with, or like loss of certain activities that were helpful for you? Or is it really a physical heaviness? Because a lot of, with my familiarity with autoimmune disorders is that most of them are linked to some kind of pain, physical physical restriction or physical impairment. So enlighten me on your story. Tell me more, please, please. Rowdy. What's up, Rowdy? I like your name. I like your hat. Hey, man, been looking for something like this. Been looking for something like this. Haven't been doing good at all in the last month. Rowdy, what's going on, man? Give me some more information so we can give you some steps to take in the right direction. But good to have you, brother. Please like and subscribe. I know, guys, I'm pushing the YouTube hard. It's because we're almost at 100 subscribers. And, you know, I don't know. I'm shallow sometimes. Sorry. Accept me for who I am, please. Michelle says, right now that's taking up all my headspace, causing me to avoid doing everything. Recently started therapy. Michelle, right now that's taking up all my headspace, causing me to avoid doing everything. Are you talking about the agoraphobia, Michelle? Let me just review. I want to make sure I'm remembering what you said before. Unable to unable to drive or work or go out when you suffer from anxiety and panic attacks. Okay. I think we're on the same page here. It's good you recently started therapy. You definitely need a support system. Definitely need a support system. Yeah, one of the reasons I struggled for so long is that I was not really emotionally open for support until it really beat me down. And man, if there was a way I could have hit fast forward on that being humble process and that being less judgmental process, and if I had just like shifted my priority to my mental health with openness, man, I would have struggled for a lot less time. This is not something you could or should sweep under the rug, people, even though should statements are cognitive distortions. I would highly recommend you don't. And the fact that you guys are here is amazing. So at least give yourself a little love and acknowledgement personally for being in a space like this with these incredible people. You guys are amazing. Yeah, Rowdy, give me some more information. Rowdy. Ann says, thank you, Jim. Definitely. I want to do the family practice book as well. I found that if I am on social media too much and I see a lot of negative things, that makes me catastrophize. And that's why I'm finding that taking some breaks from it is helpful. Yeah, so, check out your environments. I mean, destimulating your nervous system, there's so many different factors into destimulating your nervous system, and one of them is your environments. Clean the house. What people are you hanging around with? Are you hanging around with negative people? Are you hanging around with people who you feel judged by or hurt by or that don't accept you for who you are? You have to act a certain way. Are you spending time on social media with... and is the majority of information triggering the hell out of you? This is the extreme assertiveness you need to exert from yourself to protect yourself temporarily until you have more of a defense system up. Means everybody is subject to their environment. And, this is when I had my latest bout with really heavy anxiety. One of the key lessons I learned is like, I really have to pay attention to who I'm hanging out with and where I spend my time. So do it, guys. Destimulate that nervous system. Honor what you need. If you catch yourself in an aggravated state around something, you either got to lean into it and develop the skills to cope, or you've got to just take a break. It's not forever. Mitigate those thoughts, because also with the catastrophization can be like, for something like Michelle's going through, like, am I ever going to get better? And you know when you're starting to avoid more or the world is kind of closing in. It's like, yes, mitigate that thought of, will I ever get better? You're not a future predictor. You can't validate a thought like I'm never going to get better, because it's not true. Put yourself in the positions to maximize the possibility that you will get and feel better. Build the skills. It's literally a set of skills. And lots of smiley faces. Stephanie says, I had anxiety anyways, but thyroid wreaks havoc on your nervous system. Sure. Stephanie says, hyperthyroidism symptoms are heart racing, shaking, insomnia, weight loss, diarrhea, and anxiety. If you take away anxiety out of there, it sounds synonymous with anxiety, heart race, shaking, insomnia, weight loss, diarrhea, anxiety. Lena says, so Lena was talking about she was having some post-baby anxiety, depression. Depression is a lot better, however. The anxiety has taken a toll to where I'm in the ER like every few days with issues not being able to swallow and breathe. I just started Humira and freaked out about it. Are they telling you you're fine, Lena? Is it your anxiety? Feeling like you can't swallow and can't breathe, that was a big one for me. Big one for me was feeling like I couldn't breathe specifically. And then that feeling would trigger like a bout of panic, and that would escalate into a panic attack. So, Lena, I'm curious, when you go to the ER, are they telling you that you're fine and it's just anxiety? Because if they're telling you that you're fine, it's just anxiety, it's just anxiety. And I say just anxiety, like it's not that intense, but physically you are safe, definitely. All right, Rowdy says, been losing it with the isolation. Started college in September last year, been online ever since. Can't focus at all, and my grades are worse than I've ever been. Had almost no human contact in months, had a lot of fake friends. Girl I liked used me. The girl I liked used me to get to my friend she liked. Where is everyone typing? Everybody else is on Facebook. No, Rowdy, you're good though. So you can stay. There's a few people there on YouTube with you. Just stay on YouTube. I got you, brother. But everybody else on Facebook. I actually want to go YouTube. Yeah, we're rocking. Thanks. Just tired of being alone. I can't trust anyone anymore. I always assume the worst case scenario. Rowdy, I want to talk to you. I'm glad you're here. And I'm actually sounding like I'm joking, but I really do want to talk to you. Rowdy, your mind. Okay. The way that your mind works is it wants to keep you from danger. It wants to learn to protect you from things that are threats, imminent threats. Anything it finds threatening. So when you feel a pain, like a woman hurts you and triggers an attachment wound in you, or triggers a fear, or triggers an insecurity, what you will do is you will develop parts of you that tell you things like, I can't trust anyone anymore. And you at your core are very, very calm and confident and accepting and peaceful, Rowdy. But what happens is when you feel heavy pains, when you feel like your system's been beaten down, you develop these polarized parts that tend to overwhelm you and take over. And so right now, the deeper core Rowdy is not necessarily here. And I think you know that. I think you know that this is a protective part of you that's trying to protect you from feeling the hurt that you felt before. This is what happens with trauma, Rowdy, and this is for everybody else too. Trauma, something traumatic happens, and you develop a fear of it happening again. So let's take panic attacks, for example. Panic attacks, for some people, are extraordinarily traumatic, and they're scary. You can feel like you're dying. You can feel like you're having a heart attack or losing control, or it just shocks the heck out of your system. It's nothing like you've ever felt before. So what happens is you develop this anxiety. Oh my God, when is it going to happen again? Well, I can't be alone, because if I'm alone, then I won't be able to ask for help. And I can't drive, because if I have a panic attack when I drive, I'm going to crash. And I can't be in public, because if I have a panic attack in public, it's going to overwhelm me. It's the same with being hurt by a woman. It's like, well, I was hurt by trusting somebody. So if I just don't trust, I'll be good to go. I won't be hurt again. That's not how it works, because that's too polarized of a part. What you need to do is go to that hurt part of you, Rowdy. And first of all, you need to ask this part of you that says, I can't trust anyone anymore, just to take a step back for a second. Just for a second. If it's willing to just able to take a step back. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's so strong because it's so scared of being hurt. And go to that hurt part of you, Rowdy, and help it and love it and be compassionate towards it. Alex, I'll call you Alex. Okay, Alex. Be compassionate towards it. Let it know it's like, hey, yes, you were hurt, and it sucks to be hurt, and it's triggering something in you. It's activating a fear of being lonely, or a fear of being alone, or an abandonment issue, or an attachment issue. But can you get in touch with these deeper parts of you and help them attach to you and nurture them so that they can be back? Exactly. So what you're dealing with now is you see how it intensifies, Alex, where you're so afraid to be hurt, you shut everyone out and assume everyone wants to hurt you. Nobody wants to hurt you. Nobody's trying to hurt you. And so you see the distorted thoughts in there. And so what you really need is some support, man. You really need some support because these parts are getting so polarized and so overwhelming that Alex isn't even here. Alex is just overwhelmed by this anxious part of him, this fear of being hurt. And really the fear isn't of being hurt, it's being alone. It's feeling like you can't attach to somebody, you can't have intimacy with somebody. And for that, Alex, there's a lot, man. Check out a lot of the videos that we have up there. There's a lot about dealing with panic attacks, but also just about, I'm so afraid to be hurt. I shut everyone out and assume everyone wants to hurt me. Yeah. Those are really distorted thoughts, man. About like recurring thoughts and ruminating thoughts. It's really important. And Alex, like coming here and being open is really fantastic. So congratulations. Stephanie says, what are you drinking? This is a little black coffee. Yeah, that was unnecessary. Holly says, you give great advice. Thank you, Holly. We've been studying and doing this for a long time. But thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. I should have just shut up and said thank you. Thank you, Holly. Ann says, yes to social media for sure. Yeah. Take care of yourself. Be careful. Stephanie says, Jim's awesome. Oh my God. You guys, I'm embarrassed. Sophia says, oh my God, you guys are so great. Thank you so much. Shantae, Jim, you've been a great part of my life so far. You are a positive aspect in people's lives that suffer with mental illness. Stay blessed, Jim. Thank you so much, Shantae. You guys, Jim is all, guys, thank you so much. This is like, I feel good. Guys, I got my yellow belt in Krav Maga last week too. I'm like living the dream. Lena says, yes, I've gotten checked out and all they say is vitamin D is severely low. And yes, anxiety. Yeah, Lena, I got you. Lena, has any of us talked to you? Have you scheduled a free call with us? Go in the description of the Facebook and Alex, excuse me, you can do this too, man. I'm really glad you let it out. Alex, schedule that free call in the description right there. Talk to one of us. You'll talk to me or you'll talk to my business partner, Ennis. We're both mental health coaches. This is what we do for a living, man. And we'll be able to really help you find what can you do to break this thought cycle you're in. Because, man, like you said, the old me is gone since COVID hit. We got to get you not just feeling like you, but feeling like not the old you. We want you to feel like the new you, which has elements of the old you, but is an evolved version of that. So click on that Go Once link that says under schedule a free call. And you too, Lena, if you haven't scheduled a call with us, your name kind of sounds familiar, but I don't remember. Ann says, I totally understand the isolation. Guys, the isolation, I hate to say it. The isolation has taken a lot of our coping mechanisms, mine included, out and made us be with ourselves. And we got to deal with it. Even when the isolation's over, if it's, quote unquote, over, we have to be able to be with ourselves. Yes, we need socialization. Yes, I'm an extrovert and an introvert and a middlevert or whatever. But we have to be able to sit with ourselves, guys. The anxiety and the panic are your body's way of giving you feedback. If you don't listen to feedback, you're just you're turning your back on your own system. So work with it. And again, it sucks. I totally get it, but it's also a wonderful opportunity to stop ignoring this stuff that's been going on within you. Mirela says, thank you guys for suggesting the book Dare. It's a great book and helped me a lot. Guys, Dare is awesome. Go read it. It's got some plot holes. Love Barry. It's got some holes. But definitely, the book Dare is really great. Michelle says, I have several anxiety groups that I'm in, and I will definitely plug you guys and get you more subscribers. You guys are genuine and give me hope, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you, Michelle. And just send us the invoice for your promotional fees. Just kidding. No, really, thank you guys. Like we honestly, we created this environment, this group. We created this live stream. We created the class. We do one-on-one coaching to help those of us It really is what fills me up the most in my life. Ask my girlfriends. Not my girl, my girlfriends. Ask my last couple girlfriends. I love it. I love doing the live stream. I love talking to people. I love taking the consultation calls. I love working with clients. I love teaching the class. Nothing lights me up like it, because I know what it's like. It sucks. And there's so much you can do. But the one message, the one thing I want to be is like a motivator. Like, hey, stop the other stuff. Focus on this first priority. Do the journaling. Do the CBT exercises. Take out the pen and paper. Honor yourself. Honor your system. It needs you. Big time. Sophia says, which book did you read? I think Morella was saying Dare by Barry McDonough. Yeah, okay. Morella, oh, okay. It's weird with the replies. Sometimes it gets a little confusing. Holly with the big smile. Smile back to you, Holly. Hey. Jim, thank you so much. I really needed this group. And thank you so much for your dedication and showing up. And I do like your last name. Shantae says, congrats. Thank you, Shantae. Thank you. Morella says, it helped me a lot and I'm almost anxiety free. Yeah. Good. We want to turn down that dial on the anxiety. Let me get back to Alex here. I never wish harm on a person in my life. Coffee's good. Thanks, man. Really nice to just let everything else. Might take you up on it. Oh, might is breaking my heart. I'm going to be 18 in 2 months. I just don't feel like I'm ready for the responsibility. What responsibility, man? I wasn't that bad at the start of COVID. It was around summer when everything hit. You're a good dude. Not many of you out there. Man, you're breaking my heart, brother. There's tons of good people out there. There's a whole bunch of them here right now. You're hurt, man. You are hurt. Trust me. You're just hurt. And say that to yourself. I'm hurt. I'm just hurt. I need support and I'm just hurt. Like I was like you before, bringing everyone up, but until recently I didn't have my own share of problems. Well, Alex, I'm here to tell you I had a lot of problems. And I was like this before, and then I had a lot of problems, and it was painful. And I said similar stuff like nobody cares, and nobody gives a damn about me. But you have to ask for help, brother. You have to be the nucleus of feeling better and be assertive. And it's true, like rarely will people be able to come into your home, pick you up, solve you, fix you. And like, that's not really typically how it works. You have to be assertive. And that's actually a skill. We do assertiveness training. We do training on how do you ask for help, because there is a block there. Because no one can help you if they're not aware that you need help. And even those who are aware, it's like everybody's doing their best to maintain their own balance. And it's extremely, extremely, it's a different set, Alex. And I feel your stuckness, and maybe I'm projecting my experience on you. I'm sure that I am, but I feel how stuck you feel, and like, I need help and nobody cares. And this girl used me, and like, dude, it's that you've taken a bunch of punches, but we've got to get you back up, man. Hop on that call and we'll help you, man. No strings attached. Seriously. Devin, what's up, man? Do you have any advice for me moving back home and being nervous I'm going to get back on my feet? I would say the fact that you're nervous means you care that you get back on your feet. So you're actually motivated in the right direction, Devin. I would be nervous if you didn't care. It's like people say, when I was a performer, they would be like, do you get anxious? Do you get nervous? And I would say, yeah, I usually get nervous. I get a little alert if I'm not nervous. And there's two ways. Either I'm extremely confident and I'm not nervous, or I'm not interested. I don't care. So the fact is, Devin, you're on the right path because you do care. And if you didn't care, you wouldn't be nervous. So use and channel that anxiety, because anxiety will give you a hell of a lot of energy. Channel that anxiety. There's the archetype of like the taming the dragon, and anxiety can be the dragon. And guess what? If you tame the dragon and can ride it, holy cow, are you going to get around a lot better? Use that energy. People go seeking anxiety. Adrenaline junkies are going to situations that give them anxiety. And they're channeling it, and it's just the reframing that is the difference. The excitement, the adrenaline is the same thing that you're getting during a panic attack. And so if you reframe the panic attack, and that's a trick. Sometimes one of the tricks we recommend in our book is like, I'm excited. I'm just excited. It's the same as when you're at a concert or when you're jumping out of a plane or when you're bungee jumping or doing something that is thrilling. It's the same chemicals. So it's good that you're nervous, Devin. Lena says, thank you for hearing me out. I'm on a wait list for therapy. I will definitely make that free consultation call. I've been watching your videos for the past few days. So much information and from those whom have been through it themselves. Lena, lots of love to you. And yeah, we're here to help you. Definitely set up that coaching call. I can almost guarantee you'll feel significantly better at the end of the call and if you don't feel hopeful, boy, we've got enough hope to fill an ocean, let me tell you, because we really feel like nobody is stuck. Nobody is stuck. Everybody can work through this. You've just got to be committed. You've got to be in the right place with the right support and the right information, and you've got to be consistent and resilient. And we can help you build those things. So yeah, let's get on it. Guys, other than that, that's going to do it. We're at the hour mark. I have to go flex my yellow belt in Krav Maga. I want to thank you guys so much for being so brave, so open and sharing, asking wonderful questions, supporting each other. I really can't possibly tell you how grateful I am that you guys are supporting one another, that you guys are engaged. If there's anything we can do for you, set up that free call. If you're interested in getting involved in our class, shoot us a message here on Facebook. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, shoot us a message here on Facebook. Check out the YouTube page. We're here every Tuesday at 6:30. Actually, I won't be here next week. I'll be with a client in California doing an intensive. Thumbs up. If that's something you're interested in, we do intensives with clients. That's like cramming 3 months of therapy into 5 days or a week. Shoot us a message. We're here to support you. But guys, thank you so much for being so brave. And remember, no matter how long you've been struggling, no matter how intense it is, no matter how hopeless you feel, you're never stuck. You might just need some support. My name is Jim. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you soon. Until then, good mental health, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care.